so I don't know what is going on with my tripod. Okay. Rude. It just stopped recording. I feel like I need to lower you because if I don't, like, this will just be super weird. Hello, book lovers. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steph, and in today's video, we will be doing Tackle My TBR episode 2. So for those of you who do not know what Tackle My TBR is, essentially it is this series that I am doing on my channel in order for me to read more of my own books. So if you have not watched episode 1, I will leave episode 1 linked down below so you can go and check that out so you know all of the rules for this game. I received so many comments on the first episode of Tackle My TBR. I was not expecting it, so I figured the most fair way to pick coordinates would be to literally write down all of your coordinates, put them into a random wheel generator, and then see which of those coordinates get chosen. So I have written down every single person's coordinates in my phone, so I'm just going to put them into a random wheel generator so we can generate the coordinates. I will not know while I'm filming this whose coordinates got chosen, but while I'm editing this, I will put your comment down below so that you know that your coordinates corresponded with the number that got chosen in the wheel. I do also think that because I got so many comments on episode 1 that I am going to do maybe 4, maybe even 5 picks for this, just depending on what books get chosen. So if like really chunky books get chosen, I may just do 4, but if like some short books get chosen, then I may do 5 picks for this episode. So yeah, as always, I will probably keep the coordinates that do not get picked so I can use them for the next episode. But if you want to send me new coordinates, or if you are new here, then please put some coordinates down below in the comments. So the way that I did it is for the first set of coordinates, it is a number between 1 and 10. The second is a number between 1 and 6. And the third is a number between 1 and 50. So yeah, please feel free to leave those coordinates down below. If you've already left coordinates and want to leave new coordinates, no problem at all. So I am going to be picking the coordinates in real time, and we will do them one at a time because I just feel like these videos are already chaotic, as I always say. So I am just screen recording. I'm going to screen record the entire time. So I am just going to spin. I will insert the screen recording here and let's see what we get. Okay, so the first set of coordinates is 5, 3, and 37. Like I said, I don't know whose coordinates this is while I am filming, but I will leave the comment of whoever's coordinates this is down below here. So 5, 3, and 37. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys along on this journey. Okay, so we are going on this wonderful journey together, and like I have said, that is shelf 1. Shelf 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to mess up the coordinates this time because I literally have them on my phone. So shelf number 5 is this shelf right over here. Number 3 is 1, 2, and 3. So we will be picking from this shelf right here. I'm going to put you guys down and then we will count to 37. Okay, and the book that we are going to be counting until is number 37. So let's see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131 is 37. Okay, so number 37 is Passing, which I have actually already read. Okay, I'm just gonna move you guys here and then just kind of like talk through this with you. The consensus on what I should do if I already read the book is read the ones on these sides, and if they are part of a series, I should read the first in that series, which I am fine with. But if they are a standalone, then some people said that I should just keep going on the shelf until I reach a book that I haven't read, and then other people have told me that I should just redo the coordinates. So let us take a vote in the comments. So let me know if it is a standalone. Do you guys want me to continue on the shelf until I get to a book that I have not read, or should I redo coordinates? So Passing was right here, but there is good news to this because I have read The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, but I have not read the book that is on the side here, which is Her Soul to Take. So this is going to be our first book for Tackle My TBR episode 2. So that was a successful first coordinate. So I will put the wheel right here. I am going to remove those sets of coordinates. So those are gone, and we will just spin for our next set of coordinates and let us see what we get. Okay, so the next set of coordinates that got chosen is bookshelf 6, row 6, and book number 6. And I'm pretty sure that Josh is the one that sent this, but again, I will leave the comment here, but I'm pretty sure it was him because he thought it would be super, super interesting to see what these 3 numbers would produce. So let us go to shelf number 6. So we are moving along here to shelf number 6. So here we go. I feel like we visited this shelf quite a bit in the other episode. Yeah, we definitely have been here before. This is shelf 6 with row number 6, and then we are going to count book number 6. So let us go ahead. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is, so the book that was selected is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, which I also have not read. So far this episode is very, very successful because I also have not read this book, but it is quite a chunky one. So I don't know if I'm going to do 5 picks for this episode, but let us continue and then we will find out. So I do have my little screen record. We're going to remove those coordinates and we are going to pick our next set. That one was like really close to the other one. Okay, so bookshelf number 8, shelf 3, and number 32. So that's 6, that's 7, this is 8. And then number 3 is up a little bit. So we gotta move you guys up. Ooh, hello. So nice to see you all here. And then, okay, so this is our shelf that we are looking at right here. And then we have number 32. So let me move these candles out of the way. So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 9, 30, 31, 32. So this is kind of where that whole explanation of what do I do with standalones, because I have read The Yellow Wife. I've also read the 2 books on the side, which is The Bodyguard and also Never Let Me Go. So just put down in the comments if you guys would like me to continue to the book that I have not read or if I'm just going to respin. I think for this episode, I am just going to respin it because that is what I did in episode number 1. But let me know down below in the comments with standalones if you would like to just re-roll or if you want me to just pick a book on that shelf that I have not read yet. So I don't know whose coordinates these are, but I am so sorry that I cannot use those coordinates. So I am just going to remove these and we will just pick another one, but let me know in the comments what you guys think I should do going forward. Okay, 7, 11, and 30 is what was chosen, but I just realized that those coordinates don't work because of the shelves. So I am going to remove that. I must not have seen that when I was putting them in. So the second number has to be a number between 1 and 6. So if those were your coordinates, I apologize, but I cannot use those. So, okay. This person sent 2 coordinates, again, inserting the comment somewhere on the screen here. So we will go with the first one, and if we can't use the first one, we will go with the second one. So it's 4, 2, and 11. So let us go. So 4 is actually one of these big shelves here that I have, and then number 2 is up high. So let me just set you guys down. Okay, here we go. So book number 11. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so the book that got chosen is Leave Me by Gail Forman, which I do not believe that I have read this. I will double check before the end of this video, but I'm pretty sure I have not read this. And this works out perfectly because I will just add it to the pile of books. Since a lot of those books are pretty chunky, I am just going to do one more. So we will do 4 spins for episode 2. So I'm just going to remove these coordinates and we are going to do our last and final spin for the last book for Tackle My TBR episode 2. Okay, and the number that won is 4, 4, and 4. So I will just put the comment right here. We are already on bookshelf number 4, so I just have to lower you guys. Okay, this is the shelf that we will be picking from, and if we are picking book 4, as you can see, it would be Winter by Marissa Meyer. And this is the 4th in the series. So as you guys said, I should read the first book in the series, which would be Cinder. So let me just take this out because I have not read this. Okay, so this is the first one in the series. And as you guys said, you want me to go with the book that I'm at in the series if I cannot read the one that got selected. So that would be Cinder. And now we can go and see all of the books that were chosen and figure out what they are all about. And yeah, okay, this is going to be the last book for this episode. Okay, so I feel like that was pretty successful, not as chaotic as episode 1. So that is very good. So the first book that got selected was Her Soul to Take. This is like a dark paranormal like fantasy romance. So this sounds like we are following our main character Leon, who is tasked with taking our main character Ray, but he decides that he doesn't want to take her and bring her to this cult that he is a part of. And I just like really like this cover. This was definitely a cover buy for me, so I am excited to get into this. I don't know if people absolutely love this, and I'm hoping that there is an audiobook for this so I can get through it quickly, but I am excited for this. Then the next book that was selected was Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. Very, very excited for this because I have wanted to watch this show for a very long time, and I absolutely love everything that Kristen Hanna has written. So this sounds like we are following an 8th grade girl who is kind of like a loser and doesn't have many friends, but then this very, very popular girl moves in next door and wants to be her friend. So I'm very excited to get into this. It doesn't really sound like something that Kristen Hanna typically writes, so I am curious to see how I feel about this one. So then I picked up Leave Me by Gail Foreman. This sounds really interesting. This is about a woman who has a husband and twins, and she is so busy and preoccupied with that she doesn't realize that she has had a heart attack. And then in the midst of recovering from this heart attack, she actually decides to leave and like pack a bag and go. So this does sound like it's going to be like very, very hard hitting. I'm interested to see how I feel about this one. I haven't heard the greatest reception for this, and this is quite an old book, so I'm curious to see kind of how I feel. And the last book that got chosen was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, which is part of the Lunar Chronicles. I believe that this is like a sci-fi Cinderella retelling. So yeah, this sounds like it should be right up my alley. I do feel like I have tried to read this in the past and was unsuccessful, so I am curious to see how I feel about this, if I am going to like it. I haven't been like loving YA lately. I have been getting more into like sci-fi and fantasy, so I am curious to see how this stands up, but I do really like fairy tales and retellings, so I am very curious. Again, I am going to vlog my experience reading these, and then we will catch back up and do like a conclusion at the end. And yeah, I will see you guys once I get into the first book. Okay, so as you guys saw, the book that I am going to be starting with for this episode of Tackle My TBR is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. This is going to be my 50% check-in. So what I like to do is I usually like to check in at about the halfway point, kind of give you guys my thoughts on the book, how I'm feeling about it, and then I will also kind of just wrap up my thoughts while we get into the next book. So I think I gave you guys a very brief description of what this book was about, but now that I am about 50% into it, I do have a lot more insight about what kind of book this is. So I would say that this is a historical fiction. It's got some romance in there, and it's very chick lit. It's very reminiscent of other books by Kristen Hanna. So if you do like Kristen Hanna as an author, then I would 100% recommend picking this up. I obviously am not done with the book. I am only 50% of the way through, but it reads very similarly to all of her other books. It seems like it's going to be hard hitting like all of her other books. There have been a lot of reveals and things that have happened already up to the 50% mark. So I can only imagine that it's only going to get like more devastating, more heartbreaking. The stakes are going to get higher. So yeah, primarily in this, we are following two main characters. So Kate and Tully, and they meet when they are around high school age, I believe. And Tully comes from a very hard background. She She lives with her grandmother because her mother has had some issues in the past with drugs. So she feels a lot of abandonment from her mother, and that happens quite early on in the book. I believe it's the first chapter. So she feels just like no love from her mother. So they are kind of struggling with that relationship there, as well as her mother being addicted to drugs and dealing with that. And then on the complete opposite side, we have Kate, who comes from a very loving household. Both of her parents are still in the household. They are married. She sees like very positive relationships, and the two of our main characters form a friendship, and this spans over a couple of decades. So the book starts in the 70s and I am currently in the 90s. And yeah, my thoughts so far, I am absolutely loving this book. I feel like this book is going to be so emotional by the end of it. I feel like it's already emotional. I feel like there is so much at stake already. I have really connected with both main characters. I do like both of their storylines a lot. I think that they are very different. I think that Tully is like a go-getter. She is a leader. She goes after what she wants, and Kate is more like submissive. She kind of is a little bit more passive. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying the characters. I am enjoying the relationship between the two of them. There is a little bit of conflict going on right now at the 50% mark, so I am curious to see kind of how that wraps up. But so far so good. This episode seems to be already starting off a lot better than the previous episode that I did of this. So I don't know what book I will be picking up next, but I am hoping to finish this book by either today. It is quite a long book. I think it's like an 18-hour audiobook, so it is quite long. But like I said, I am 50% of the way through, so I'm hoping that I can either finish it today if I have some time to listen, or I will finish it tomorrow for sure. And at that time, hopefully I will have some concluding thoughts to give you guys, and then also let you guys know what book I will be starting next. I am really enjoying myself. Again, Kristen Hanna is an author that I think I've always given at least a 4-star to her books. I really like Kristen Hanna's writing, her storytelling. It's just absolutely impeccable. It's amazing. If you have not read any Kristen Hanna, I highly recommend. And yeah, I will check back in once I have finished Firefly Lane. Okay, so I did end up finishing Firefly Lane. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't really have any real additional thoughts. I thought that the story was really gripping at the beginning. I really did enjoy the characters. As expected, this is like a super heartbreaking read, but in saying that, I will also say that it was kind of predictable in the sense of like what happened and how it kind of wrapped up. Obviously, I didn't know exactly how this book was going to end, but I did have an inclination that it would be like a heartbreaking ending and that something drastic would happen, which ended up happening. I obviously won't get into spoilers here, but if you have read it, then you kind of know how this wraps up. And yeah, I was definitely expecting that from a Kristen Hanna, so there's nothing wrong with the book, but nothing that absolutely blew me away. I thought the writing was really good. I really did like both characters and both of their storylines and kind of how they stayed friends throughout their life. This does span a couple of decades. It was really good to see them grow up. I think in my first update I said that they met in high school, but I actually think they met in grade 8, so they weren't yet in high school. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say on this one. My feelings kind of stayed the same. Good story, good writing, heartbreaking story, but just kind of predictable. But I did give this a 4 out of 5 stars. So far this episode is turning out to be a lot more successful than the first one. So then I did also pick up Her Soul to Take, and I am currently exactly at the 50% mark of this book. This book is actually turning out to be quite a surprise. This isn't my typical dark romance that I read, but I do kind of really like the sprinkling of like fantasy that's going on in here. I didn't know that I would really like a demon romance, but it's actually working really well for me in this book. So I do have a little bit more context as to what this book is about. So yeah, in this we are following our two main characters, so Leon and Ray, and Leon is actually a demon and he is brought to Ray's world in order to kidnap her and take her soul. And Ray is kind of a believer in the paranormal. She's like a ghost hunter and she actually has a like YouTube channel where she documents all of her ghost hunting, and then one day she accidentally summons a demon who is Leon and she finds out that he is this entire demon. There is also an element of a book that Ray is in possession of, and there are people that are trying to obtain this book. So yeah, so far this has been a really good ride. I really didn't think that I was going to like a demon romance as much as I am. The smut is really, really good in here, and this just gives me all of the gothic vibes. And yeah, I'm just having a really good time with it. I'm very invested. I kind of want to see where this story is going to go. And again, I am right at the 50% mark. So hopefully I will be able to finish this today. If this keeps going as well as it's going, I will definitely say that I think I have found a new niche that I like in romance books and dark romance books. And it's definitely this whole demon ghost hunter type of thing. It's just such a good vibe. This almost reminds me of a horror romance, which is exactly what I need in my life, and I had no idea. So yeah, I will keep you guys updated once I am finished with this. But yeah, so far this is going really, really well. I am very much enjoying this. Hopefully the conclusion is satisfying and the conflict in here doesn't get too outrageous, because I find with romance that once the conflicts start to get really immaturely dealt with, I just really get taken out of the story. So I'm very curious to see how this wraps up, but I'm having such a good time with this one. Okay, so I literally just finished Her Soul to Take. So I'm just going to talk with you guys through my thoughts on this book before I forget. I was going to update in the morning, but I figure I'm just going to update now. So I ended up giving Her Soul to Take a 3.5 stars, and I'm not mad about it. I actually think that's a really good rating. I actually want to continue the series. I'm very intrigued to continue the series. Didn't expect to like this book as much as I did, and I know a 3.5 isn't the greatest rating, but I think there was definitely some problems with it. So I'll just get into kind of what I really liked about it. So I really liked the representation in this book. I didn't realize it when I did my 50% update, but both of our main characters are actually bisexual, which you don't really see too often. So I did really like that, and I really enjoyed the smut. I would say the smut in this book is a 10 out of 10. It is spicy. Let me just say that this book is spicy, and I really enjoyed the connection between our two main characters, Leon and Ray. I also loved the world. I love the demon aspects. It was witchy. The book was atmospheric. It just gave me all of the vibes. So I really, really liked that. So this book actually had a plot, which is really strange because I find that most dark romances and romances like this, they don't really have a plot most of the time. I think a lot of the time it is just a wow factor, and just they throw smut into it and the plot just kind of gets put on the back burner. But that wasn't the case with this book. I thought that this book actually had a really solid plot. So the 3.5 star rating actually comes from kind of the lackluster execution of a plot that was actually really, really good. And I just found that the ending of this book was just very lackluster and anticlimactic, when I feel it didn't need to be. I feel we could have had a lot more with the ending of this book and kind of what happens, but it just seems it was kind of just brushed away. So that's kind of where the 3.5 star rating comes from. But other than that, I loved the characters, loved the smut, loved the connection between them, loved the vibes, loved everything about that. I just could not see past kind of the lackluster ending. It almost just felt rushed to me. So yeah, but I am very intrigued to pick up the other books in this series, which I didn't expect to happen. I didn't know if I was going to like this book or not, because dark romance is always a hit or miss for me. And then this, you sprinkle in a fantastical element, and it's just very smutty. So I really didn't know how I was going to feel, but I'm very happy to say that I'm going to consider this also a success, because I really do want to continue the series, and I've kind of found my niche in this genre. This was super enjoyable. So if you have any other recommendations that are similar to this book, then please leave them linked down below, because I'd be very curious to read them and check them out. And yeah, I will check back in once we start reading book number 3. All right, so I did just want to hop on here and update you guys about my progress with Cinder. So I am just over 50%. I'm probably 60% of the way through with it now. And yeah, so far I am actually really liking this. I think I mentioned before that I had actually tried reading this years ago. I think I got a chapter in and just decided like, okay, that's not the book for me. I didn't really like it, but I kept them thinking that I would eventually repick them up. And I'm so happy that I did, because I am absolutely loving this. It's like a YA sci-fi with like fantasy elements. It's taking place in New Beijing, and it's following our main character, Cinder, who is a cyborg. And then at the beginning of the novel, she is met with this prince named Prince Kai, and of course my AC has turned on. So the AC just kicked on outside, so it was super loud, so I just figure I will finish the update from here. So she is met by this prince named Prince Kai, and he comes to her because she is this very, very skilled mechanic, and he needs his cyborg to be fixed, and he was recommended that he come to see Cinder, and that is how the prince and her meet. There's also another element to this story, which is there is this like mysterious plague. It's like a sickness that you can contract, and once you contract it, it basically just like attacks your body and you end up dying from this sickness. So there is another element to this story where Cinder gets kind of wrapped into figuring out a cure for this disease. This story is so good. I'm so happy that I decided to pick this up. I'm so happy that this got selected for this video, because if it didn't, I probably would have never picked this like series back up. It does have a lot of elements from Cinderella. Thought I saw some reviews that said it's like loosely based. There is like the evil stepsisters. There is like a little bit of reference to Foot with like the glass slipper. It's not actually a glass slipper in this. There is like a ball element where like she gets invited to this ball that is being held by Prince Kai. And yeah, I just really love this world. I really like the like cyborg elements, and I'm just having a very good time. This was such a pleasant surprise. I do really like the characters in this book, and again, yeah, I'm having a very good time. This is shaping up to be an amazing episode of Tackle My TBR, because I feel like I've enjoyed everything that I've read so far. So yeah, 50% of the way through with Cinder. I will finish that tomorrow, so I will check back in tomorrow. But if it keeps going the way that it's going, I am going to absolutely love this book. But yeah, I will check back in tomorrow when I have my final thoughts on the book. Okay, so I just wanted to hop on here really quick and give you guys my final thoughts on Cinder. Yes, I know that my recording locations are not ideal, but truly this is the best that I have to work with, is literally my living room couch, because it just affords me the opportunity to be able to give you updates while the baby is sleeping. So I apologize, but it's not going to really change. Also, am I wearing the same clothes that I have worn throughout this entire video? Yes. Is it different days? Yes. This is just the life that I am living now. So yeah, just to give you guys my final thoughts on Cinder, this is actually my favorite book of the video, which is very, very surprising, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. When Cinder got chosen, I deep down was like, I really do not want to read this book, and I really had no interest in reading it. I was just not interested in it at all. And once it got selected, I was like, oh, this is going to just drag. I'm going to be like not enjoying it. And I really don't know why, because this book was amazing. I gave it a 4.25, and I don't really know if it's a good book. It's probably not, but I'm giving this rating based on my enjoyment of it. I had such a fun time with it. I absolutely loved the like Cinderella story elements that were sprinkled into this. I liked our main character. I didn't think that she was making like really dumb decisions. I liked the story, the pacing, some reveals. There were some like little twists that I didn't see coming. A lot of reviews that I have read have said they totally knew what was going to happen the moment that they picked it up from the first page. And honestly, I probably should have seen a lot of it coming, but I was just going with the flow. I wasn't really thinking too hard into it. And some of the reveals actually had me saying like, okay, that was a really good reveal. I had a good time with it. I also have you guys just on my tripod, but it's not sitting on anything. I'm holding it. So if you guys are shaky and getting motion sickness, I apologize. Yeah, I don't know if I said I gave it a 4.25 stars. Best book that I read for this video. This video has been absolutely successful. I can't wait to do episode 3 of Tackle My TBR, because episode 2 has just been such a like pleasant surprise, such a win. I am like on such a high right now from this episode. And yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say on the actual books and my thoughts on it. it. I've pretty much kind of said everything in my first update, is that I thought that the characters were really good, and I really, again, like the Cinderella like elements sprinkled in. It's not like overbearing to the Cinderella story. It's just like sprinkled in really nicely with really cool elements, and I like the sci-fi element of this, and I'm very, very, very interested in continuing the series. I've heard the second in the series is even better, so I am very excited. Plus, I liked how this ended. I feel like book 2 is going to be like a wild ride, so I'm very excited. So now I just have one more book to talk to you guys about, so I will check back in once I start with our last book. Okay, hello. I'm coming at you guys from my bathroom. I'm getting ready to go out, but I did just want to hop on here really quick and let you guys know that I am 50% of the way done with Leave Me by Gail Forman. Okay, so very quickly, my thoughts on this book. Truly just do not care about this story at all. I don't think that the book is like poorly written. I think if you're in the mood for this kind of story, then it would probably satisfy that itch for you, but I just really could not care less about our main character. So just some more context on the book. We are following our main character. I believe her name is Mary Beth. Like, I've been literally physically reading this and I don't care so much that I don't even know this girl's name. But I think her name is Mary Beth. She is married to her husband and she has twins, a boy and a girl. Kind of like this super mom where she always handles everyone's appointments. She's making sure that she's always cooking dinner, taking care of the house, that whole deal there. And one day she feels like she has some like indigestion. It ends up being that she's had a heart attack. So she goes to the hospital where she has to stay there for a week, and her household basically doesn't really fall apart, but there are some things that happen where she realizes that she was kind of the glue that held her entire family together. So what does our main character decide to do instead of like have a conversation and try to figure out like a better way to balance her stress and all of that, then just take off and not tell her husband or her kids or anyone for that matter where she is going. She gets rid of her phone so nobody can contact her, and she just up and leaves her children, husband. Her mother is also there trying to help her, so leaves them and just completely goes off grid, takes out cash to kind of start this new life. And that is what the story is about. And now I am following this woman as she is in this new city. I don't remember where she is, truly couldn't care again. And yeah, she's making all of these new friends, all of these new relationships, and I do feel like I know where this story is going to go. It's going to be either one of two things that I'm thinking of, and either one I really just do not care. I find that it's very bizarre that this woman would just leave her kids and husband and not say anything. But again, it's not my life, so who am I to judge? I'm not judging anyone else's life, but I also don't have to be enjoying my reading experience of this book. Again, I don't think that the book is poorly like written. I don't think that it's a terrible story if this is what you are in the mood for, but I just truly am not in the mood. I just really want to get through this book. If I DNF'd books, I'm telling you right now that I would have DNF'd this like 25% ago, because I truly just, again, do not care. So yeah, this one is going to be a fail, but I feel like the other books for this video were like super, super positive, so I am happy about that. I will check back in once I have finished the book. I really don't think that my feelings are going to change, because right now I'm just not having a good time. So yeah, I will check back in once I have final thoughts on this book, and then to wrap up this entire video. Okay, hello. I did just want to hop on here and close out this video. I did finally manage to read all of the books, so I will quickly talk about Leave Me by Gail Forman. As I didn't really give you my final thoughts on this book, nothing really changed from the halfway point. I did end up giving this a 2 out of 5 stars. Nothing really changed. I actually also really did not like the way that this book ended. I felt that it was very abrupt, and I just really didn't like the way that this ended. But again, nothing really changed on my feelings. I just didn't care about anything kind of my entire reading experience. But I will say that I don't think that this book is necessarily a bad book. If this is something that you are looking for or that you are in the mood for, I think that if it sounds interesting and the premise is interesting, then it's actually not poorly written. So I'm not saying don't read it. It's just, it didn't really work for me. So yeah, I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. And before that, I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer, which I actually ended up loving. This was my favorite book of the video. I ended up giving this one a 4.25 stars. I also picked up Her Soul to Take, which I ended up giving a 3.5 stars. And this one was really interesting because I do want to continue the series. I actually thought that the premise was really good, and I really think I have found like a new niche in the dark romances that I read, so I am very excited to continue on with this series. And then I also read Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. I really love Kristen Hanna. I feel like she is one of these authors that can't do any wrong, so I knew that I was going to enjoy this story. And yeah, just very, very hard hitting and just like a very interesting story to follow through many different decades. And yeah, those are all the books that I read for this episode of Tackle My TBR. I definitely think that this was much more of a success than the first one. So again, if you do want to participate in Tackle My TBR, please feel free to leave me 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Leave me a couple of sets of coordinates down below in the comments. The coordinates are as follows: a number between 1 and 10, a number between 1 and 6, and then a number between 1 and 50. Also, if you guys want to vote down below in the comments, or if nobody votes in the comments, I might open it up to a YouTube poll just for Tackle My TBR, what you would prefer. So I know that for series, if I land on a book that is like number 3 in a series, you guys all told me to read the first book in that series, which is totally fine. I can do that, but I want to know for standalones. So if I have read the book that gets chosen and both books on the side and it is a standalone, do you guys want me to pick a completely new set of coordinates, or just go along on the shelf until I find a book that I have not read? Let me know down below in the comments. That is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did make it to the end of this video, put a high heel or any of the shoe emojis to represent Cinderella for our best book of this video, which was Cinder. If you did like today's video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up like button. And as always, if you are new here, I would love to have you stick around. So please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in my next one. Bye.